hiatus here, but hey, Bruiser Boxing is back on the air. We got a big specialty fight coming up this weekend, so we thought we'd throw a big specialty episode at you your way. Little fight night talk about the big main event coming up. But we got some other things first to take care of. But first, let me introduce the crew. With us back as always is Filthy Rich. Filthy Rich, time to make it rain, buddy. Make it rain.
All right, so yeah, LeBron has moved into fourth in all-time assists and number one in scoring. Go Lakers, go Yankees. I'll drink to that. Hurry up.
I'll even give you one of those one more time. And then my desk is covered in $100 bills, just like Filthy Rich's carpet. It's just all $100 bills at his house, you know. Also with us is back is the one, the only, the court is in session, Judge Jimmy James. Judge, welcome back to the airwaves.
Yeah, it's interesting to talk about boxing again, at least on live video or recorded video. But yeah, I'm ready to get right into it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm also super excited that Jimmy James is spending his hard-earned dollars for us to watch the fight again this weekend at his house. So thank you for that, James. So before we get into everything, boys, I hope you have your beers ready because it's time. Once again, we haven't done this in a while. I miss you, boys. Cheers to the show. Let's have a good one.
Cheers.
Oh, that's good stuff. All right, let's get on with the show. All right, before we talk about the big main event of Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia, there are two little undercard events that we need to talk about. I say little, but I think they're going to be quite interesting. First one, Gabe Rosado, 26-16, definition of a journeyman at 37 years old, is going to fight Meli Kuziev, who's 11-1 at 26 years old. His only loss coming to Gabe Rosado, and kind of a shocking upset. James, why don't you tell us a little bit about that fight and how you think it's going to affect this upcoming fight this weekend in the rematch?
Well, Gabe Rosado, when he did fight Beck the Bully back in 2021, it was a knockout of the year contender. It was, if you haven't seen it, it was a vicious overhand right that dropped Beck the Bully when he didn't have a clue where he was. So big time win for Rosado. I got definitely a few more fights, a few more chances after that win because he was definitely an underdog at that fight and definitely didn't produce the same results in his next couple by any means. He's actually lost his last three fights.
Yep, all three since that fight.
Yep, definitely not bad opponents either, like Munguia, Sugar Shane Mosley Jr., and then another guy that I can't remember. But Beck the Bully has been pretty good after that loss, but again, not really against anybody that's big. So, I mean, what's really going to happen in this one, man, I think you said it before, like Gabe Rosado is kind of a journeyman. I love watching him fight because he's super entertaining, but I mean, I think I'm going to have to still give the nod to Little Beck. Think he's been more seasoned since that loss.
Yeah,
to say the least, I guess. So, but yeah, I think it's still going to be a good fight, but be difficult to reproduce the same result for Gabe Rosado.
And Gabe Rosado got knocked down in the first round of that fight too. And he got knocked down right at the end of the first round and got his butt kicked in the second round and was getting his butt kicked in the third round. When you got to watch that knockout of the year. It came out of nowhere. It was he had no idea where he was. Meli Kuziev, no idea where he was. But the bettors don't seem to think much of Gabe Rosado. They got him an 8-1. Oh, there goes Filthy Rich, I think. Filthy Rich, if you come on back, he doesn't know what to bet on this one. They got Gabe Rosado at an 8-1 underdog right now. Meli Kuziev's a minus 1,400. James, you're saying you're going to take Meli Kuziev to win this one then, huh?
Sub-Zero wins.
I want to take Gabe Rosado, but not impressed this last couple fights. And I think Beck is just the younger fighter. He's going to probably prevail.
Yeah, I do as well. Next fight, hopefully Filthy Rich can join us here. Don't know. Seems to be we have internet problems with, we haven't done a show in a long time. We have all sorts of things that pop up here. We got to hire back our crew here. The next one that we're going to talk about here is David Morrell, local guy from Minnesota here, actually from Cuba, but he now lives down here in Minnesota where we do this show from. He's facing a late fill-in Yamagaki Falcao. Falcao, 35 years old, out of Brazil. He is 24-1 with 10 knockouts, and so probably not a lot of power there. Facing David Morrell, who's 8-0 at 25 years old with 7 knockouts. James, you got a chance to watch David Morrell personally, his last fight, over at the Armory in Minneapolis. Tell us about what we can think about this fight, David Morrell fighting Yamagaki Falcao.
Well, this is probably going to be a pretty one-sided affair. David Morrell looks like he has a very good skill set. It looks like he has fantastic power, given the fact that he has 8 wins, 7 knockouts. His last knockout at the Armory that I saw, the dude definitely had to go into a medical-induced coma, and thank God that he came out of it, because it definitely looked pretty rough. But this is his opponent in Falcao, pretty old guy, 35 years old. He only has really one name that I recognize, and that's Demetrius Ballard, and that's a draw. So I think this is probably going to be a one-sided affair, but I probably would bet on a KO pretty quick.
Yeah, Morrell is a minus 2,000, so lay 2,000 to win $100 in that fight. Falcao coming in at 1,000. Filthy Rich, glad you could join us again.
Well,
you got the gerbils running the internet over there. You got the power back and moving, and good and go. You're ready to back? You're back?
I don't know, man. We'll find out, I guess. Am I right?
David Morrell, any thoughts on David Morrell before we go?
Look, if I can comment on Gabe Rosado first.
Oh, sure. Okay,
I missed kind of everything, but I will never forget the Gabe Rosado who took a Golovkin fight when no one else would. He moved up in weight for that. And for that reason alone, I will never bet against Gabe Rosado. I think James mentioned, and I mean, we all know that he's lost his last 3 fights, but I picked him those last 3 fights, even against Munguia. Munguia hasn't really been tested, and Gabe Rosado is the guy. If you're looking for a test, he's the guy to look for. So that Gabe Rosado fight, I'm taking Gabe. I don't know what the odds are. I don't care what the odds are. Again, I'll never bet against Gabe. As far as Morrell goes, I'll take Morrell. This is one of those issues we have with high priced fights and high purse splits. When 2 superstars are in the ring, they're gonna make a lot of money. When 2 guys make a lot of money in the main event, the undercard players don't get their fair share of the shake, I guess you could say. And I wish there was something like a better undercard. This is not like a fight you're going to order because of the undercard. I think these 2 fights are going to be more or less showcase fights, but price you pay. That's how that goes. Again, I'll take David Morrell, and I'm taking Gabe Rosado.
Gabe Rosado, you're going to get 8-1, Filthy Rich, so you could really make it rain if you get that one hit. Make it rain at 8-1. Let's go. That's Filthy Rich money. He needs more $100 bills in his carpet. I'll tell you that. I think both of those fights are going to be very, very short. Give me Meli Kuziev and give me Morrell. I think both of them are going to get knockouts within 4 rounds. I don't think they're going to be fun. So don't, if you have to pee, you should wait till after that fight. All right, boys, let's get on to the main event, the thing that we got this whole special about here. Let's move on to that. All right, main event time. Filthy Rich, I had to ask you when our last show was. You said it was 10 months ago, and I believe it because it's been so long since I've heard this song for my guy, Ryan Garcia, the sexiest man on the planet. Hit it! Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sexiest. Look at him. He's looking so Amir Khan-like in that picture right next to you, James. You see him? Look at him. The king of Instagram. The best there is.
Yeah, the sun is just shining off that glass jaw.
Hey, he is the Instagram prince, the champion of all time. Tail of the tape, little different. The bookies have it real close. Tank Davis at a minus 240. Ryan Garcia at 2-1. Over under only 7.5 rounds. I'm going to turn my light back on. There we go. Now you can see me a little better. 7.5 rounds. So they're expecting a knockout in this one. We're at a 136 catch weight. No titles on the line here. No titles on the line. Tank Davis at 28 years old. Undefeated record of 28-0 with 26 knockouts. only 5'5" with a reach of 67.5 with that southpaw. Garcia at 24 years of age, 23-0 with 19 knockouts, coming in 5 inches taller at 5'10" and 2.5 inches on the reach at 70 inches as an orthodox fighter. Filthy Rich, how did we finally get here? It seems like we've been talking about this. We were talking about this fight 10 months ago. So how did we finally get here that we're watching it on Saturday?
Well, one of the biggest problems in, I guess, all of boxing, not so much like something like UFC or something like that, where everybody's controlled under Dana White. Tank Davis fights with like Floyd Mayweather and Showtime Boxing, while Ryan Garcia is fighting over on DAZN. So when Floyd and Pacquiao got their fight made, a lot of things had to happen. Everything had to go right. HBO and Showtime agreed to all kinds of these weird stipulations. Like HBO will get to air the fight, but the Showtime guys were the announcers. And then the winner of the fight gets rebroadcasting rights and things like that. I think this fight has some of those elements in it. It would be nice if they were just both on DAZN or both on Showtime, and we probably would have gotten this fight a long time ago. But that is how we are finally here. That is why it took so long. Not to mention Garcia's mental health issues and maybe a tune-up fight to get back into the ring to shake off that ring rust. Davis just don't duck anyone. He was looking for money. He is a pay-per-view star. He fought Mario Barrios on a pay-per-view. So I think the Isaac Cruz fight was on pay-per-view. So it was just a matter of how do we make this fight. The fight finally happened. I don't know who caved into who, but here we are. That's kind of how we got here, if that answers your question.
It does. You mentioned a lot of good fighters that Tank has beaten. Ryan Garcia, kind of unproven a little bit. James, why don't you talk to us a little bit about some of the of their past opponents? And I'm interesting that you said Tank takes all fights. It seems like he's been in the press, at least, looked as the one ducking and making all the rules and changes and rules changes. James, do you have any comments on that as well?
On the rule changes?
Well, he's got the catch weight. He's been portrayed in the media a little bit as the one dodging Garcia, or at least Garcia's team has made it look that way.
Look, if you've been following Tank Davis for long enough, you could realize that he has a difficult time making weight. I don't really know what his real weight is anymore. I don't know if he fights at 130, 135, 140. He just goes, I'm going to put this in, and that's what he tries to get. And he's hit his weights since that time. And I think he had issues before the Santa Cruz fight. And I could be wrong on that. I mean, he might have had issues at the Barrios fight too, but I think that was at 140. So that might have been a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, I don't really think people don't have to accept the fight if they don't like the clauses. And if you accept the fight and you take the clause, then you are taking that risk if it is a negative towards your side. Garcia doesn't need to take that. If he feels that that's a negative thing and that's going to make him lose, if he wants to use that as an excuse, so be it. But I mean, I think that's silly.
You don't think it sounds Mayweather-ish the way he's kind of doing this fight? Like kind of Mayweather kind of stuck at Pacquiao. Where I want all these stipulations. I
mean, technically, he's not with the money team anymore anyway.
Right.
Like he broke ties with that. So if this is what he's doing, maybe maybe he has problems making weight, just period. Because he is he's only like, well, people say 5'5", 5'6". I've seen 5'5", 5'4". Same thing with Garcia. I've seen 5'9", 5'11", 5'10". Like, who knows how tall these guys actually are? Maybe just put them in front of a giant yardstick or something. But I don't know. Put it up against that door, just measure it. But either way,
like
man,
at grandma's house.
I mean, yeah. Either way, I don't think it's far fetched. It's just yeah, it is what it is. He's doing what he can to get the big name fights that people want to see. And I mean, I'm gonna applaud him for it, because I mean, I've pretty much watched every Tank Davis fight for his last like 6 or 7 fights. So
well, that's a good leeway, but I also want to ask Filthy Rich one last thing, because Filthy Rich, you've been adamant over the years that belts don't mean nothing. And this is a big, big fight that has no belt on it. How proud are you of that?
Well, there is no belt on a catch weight. That's just the rule. I didn't know it was a catch weight till you brought it up, but there's no belt exchanges on catch weights. There is no 136 belt.
Right.
If they fight at 135, which one of them has a belt, then there's probably a belt on the line. Or if they fight at 140, I don't know if either has a belt at 140, but yeah, there's no belts on the line on a catchweight fight. That is historically accurate.
It's just weird that it's this big a fight and there's no titles going to be possible changing hands. James, you talked about Tank Davis. You watched most of Tank Davis, if not all of Tank Davis's fights his entire career. You love him a lot, as you've talked about over the years. What's he got to do to win this fight against the sexiest man on Instagram?
Well, man, honestly, they're both undefeated fighters, right? And usually, I know I've said this a long time ago. It feels like forever ago about Canelo, that like you don't need to change anything if you're winning. And if you're winning dominantly, the other fighter has to adjust to you and figure out how to break through your game. Tank Davis, I think he's I think he's got a higher IQ than people give him credit for. And I think that he's not really going to have to change too much that he's had from his last fights. He fought a guy that was just this tall in Mario Barrios. Granted, I'm not saying Mario Barrios is Ryan Garcia, but he handled him fairly well, right? Even with the reach disadvantage and things like that. So I think he still needs to be cautious, use that ring IQ, and find the openings that Ryan Garcia is going to leave open. It's just Garcia is at least his last couple of things, I see him being flat-footed and staying too upright. I think that's going to be where Tank takes the advantage. And if he is aggressive at those times while using his ring IQ, I think that's going to be the keys to his victory, because I think he's got the better defense as well.
He does remind me when I watch his fights of another favorite of yours, Lomachenko, where they both start really slow. Are you worried about the slow start that he has against Ryan Garcia? If Ryan Garcia racks up 5 rounds or so?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I didn't. But yeah, that'd be dangerous. Because if he allows Garcia to get in a rhythm, that could be a negative effect, because it did take him 11 rounds to do anything against Barrios. Whatever. Mario.
Hey, it's a Mario. Rich, do you have anything to say about retort to Jim's analysis of Gervonta Davis and what he has to do to win there?
No, not really. I do want to add, as far as what got us here, I forgot to mention, De La Hoya has been known to protect his fighters, so maybe that could be another reason why it took so long to make this fight happen.
Fair enough. All right, Rich, you get the sexiest man. How does Garcia win this fight against Tank Davis?
Well, look, I had a discussion with a friend on like what is going to happen in this fight. And my analysis, I guess you could say, is if Garcia wants to win this fight, I guess first and foremost, go 12 rounds. He better be prepared to win by decision, because he's not knocking out Tank Davis. So prepare to go 12 rounds. I'd say the next thing is, I think James you and James kind of alluded to this, win those early rounds. You better win those first few rounds and then play defense. Not even play defense. I don't know how you would put it, but I'm reminded of Trinidad De La Hoya, where De La Hoya won the first few rounds, then took a round off, took a round on, then a round off, and a round on. It did not work in De La Hoya's favor. Trinidad ended up winning that fight. People think De La Hoya won. I think Trinidad won that fight. I think that's what I think. If De La Hoya is in Ryan Garcia's ear, it's going to be something like that. Try to win these first 5 rounds. Look good. Do not let Tank Davis inside on you. You got the reach advantage. Keep him at like a medium distance, because if Tank gets inside, it might be over. I think Tank hits a body shot. That's it. But if Ryan Garcia wants to win, he's going to have to just hope he gets a 12-round decision.
I agree with that. I also want to add into there that what James said too. If Garcia wants to win this fight, his footwork better be a lot better than it's been. Because if he stands flat foot with Tank, Tank's going to knock his head off. He's got to get that head on a swivel and off that center. If Tank is able to tee off on him a few times, like we've seen, like against Leo Santa Cruz, good night. It's gonna be good night, Irene. You better sign off of Instagram. James, you have anything to retort about what he said about Garcia? What Garcia has to do to win this fight?
Yeah, only one thing I got to add. If you watched Garcia, so Garcia after his knockdown against Campbell, took a long time off, finally came back against To Go, looked subpar. His last fight against Javier Fortuna, you're going to have to go back and watch that, because if you want to talk about perfect timing on a punch that you don't see, go watch that in slow-mo, and super slow-mo, and then super slow-mo, because it took me a hot minute to figure out what happened.
Looked like a
to
phantom
that
punch.
man. It just looked like he fell to the ground.
Right. It looked like a phantom punch when it happened, when we saw it live.
So,
he didn't even hit him.
So he did hit him.
I know he did, but when we watched it, it was like he didn't even hit him.
So the timing is going to be huge, I think, for this.
But you don't
Big
think
time.
he can knock him out, even if he gets one of them shots?
I mean,
Richie says
he's got
not
one
getting-
punch power, man. But I mean, it's Tank Davis, so
It is.
I don't
Tank
think
Davis.
so. But that's like I said, it only takes one.
That's true. Anything else you guys want to add before we get into the prediction segment?
I will
Anything?
say Ryan Garcia has said on a few occasions that he has Tank figured out. It should take him about 3 rounds. So we'll see if he stays true to that. But
Yeah, people say a lot of things. Sometimes you get hit in the testicles too. Remember that? I mean, it just happens. But hopefully he doesn't go the route of Amir Khan after this fight and retire, and just and then we have to find the new sexiest man in boxing if it happens. But we'll figure out if that's going to happen, because we're going to get into the prediction segment here next, where we get to decide where you put your money. Because listen to our experts. Maybe you have a big payday coming on Sunday. Let's get into the prediction segment right now. All right, guys, prediction segment. We've talked about what each guy has to do to win. Now I want your analysis of what's going to happen and your prediction. Filthy Rich, we're going to start with you. What's your prediction? How's it going to happen, and how's it going to end? People need to know where to put their money.
look, with De La Hoya in Garcia's ear, I just have this feeling De La Hoya is telling him win the first few rounds, look spectacular for the judges, then take a round off, take a round on, then off and on, then off and on, like he did against Trinidad. And while a lot of people had, well, maybe some people had De La Hoya winning, I had Trinidad winning. I don't think this fight goes 12. I think in best case scenario for Ryan Garcia, this fight goes 12. I don't think that's happening. I think Tank Davis tries to feel out Ryan's power. I don't think Ryan has the power that's being portrayed by certain outlets. I think Tank can take a punch from a heavyweight and still not get knocked out. So that being said, I'm going Tank Davis, 10th round knockout. Hopefully there's no shenanigans, like the whole low blow thing and stuff like that. I really hope nothing like that happens. I think Tank in 10.
Shenanigans, is that the place with the mozzarella sticks and all the goofy stuff on the walls? Is that what you're talking about? Shenanigans?
You mean shenanigans?
Yeah, shenanigans. Oh! Filthy Rich doesn't know movie references. The crowd got it, though. The crowd gets it. Judge Jimmy James, Filthy Rich says it's going to be a knockout. I believe he said in round 10. Is that what he said? So he's saying taking the over 7.5 rounds. And he's taking Tank Davis at minus 240. How do you think this fight's going to end up?
Well, you've already heard the keys to victory.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is going to be a pretty close fight. Honestly, even with the disparities in, 6-year age difference, the height, the slight reach advantage, I think this is a pretty close 50-50 fight. And applaud these guys for actually making the fight and giving a fight that the fans actually want to see. Especially in their prime, there's no ducking. Let's get it done. Let's see who has, and then maybe they can do something further in their career, right? Maybe meet a little bit later. But either way, I see this one being slightly in Davis's favor. I think Garcia has been dropped by a southpaw before. I think Davis is going to outlast Garcia in terms of how many rounds we go. I do fear that he does go a little slow, but I think he's going to catch Garcia while he's throwing a punch. I think Garcia's too up and down. He's going to leave that chin exposed. To quote Tank Davis, once I touch that jaw, you're going to sleep. And I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to happen pretty close to when Rich said, but a little bit longer. I think it's going to happen in the 11th round, not in the 10th round. So I think he's going to be able to outlast Garcia. I don't think he's going to have the stamina. I think Tank's going to be able to take his punches and then go through and finish the job.
So you agree with Rich? You got Tank Davis at minus 240, and you got the over 7.5 rounds. So you got round 11. Boys, people have been talking to me for 2 weeks now. That's this thing's up. They come up to me at work and they say, Raider Live, I need to know where to bet on this thing. I need to know how I can lose my money as much as you do and suffer all the time. So I don't know where this fight's going to go. So I had to think to myself, what am I good at? I'm not good at picking things. But I am good at drinking. So I decided, here's how we're going to do it. I went and got Tank beer for one side. Okay, we're going to try this here. And then, since King Garcia, I got the old King Sue from the Fighting Goliath brewery here. So it'll depend on which beer tastes better is the way I'm going to go here. Now, I know what you're saying, James. I know what you're saying. You're saying, hey, how are you going to be able to judge which one tastes better without refilling your palate or fixing your palate? Well, I have this I Regret Nothing by Ron Swanson shot glass. And what else cleans the palate more than good old Tecate? Because Tecate will kill anything in your mouth to refresh the palate. So that's how we're going to decide this one here. Going to put a little bit of that in there. All right, we're going to start with the Ryan Garcia King beer here. King Garcia here.
Oh, boy.
It is fruity, kind of like his Instagram. Don't know how I feel about that one. All right, hold on. I'm going to cleanse the palate. Oh, tastes like Canelo. All right, let's try the Tank one. Tank 7. Maybe that's the round. Ooh, that tastes harsh, very harsh. Nails. You know what, boys? I don't like either of those beers. I really don't. But I need to make a decision. Everyone knows I need to make a decision. And when you need to make a decision and you can't decide on what you're good at, you got to go back to the well. And when I go back to the well, boys, you know what it means to go back to the well. From the far reaches of the cosmos to the dark recesses of the human mind, he is Raider Damas. Raider Damas. It's time to bring back Raider Damas. Now, Raider Damas is going to look into his crystal ball here, this big light in front of him. Think it on over. I've lost so much money in boxing over the years and other sports bets. Both these beers taste kind of bad. Sorry if they want to sponsor us. But I'm going to think of it here. Going to think hard. Think hard. Think hard. Something's coming to me. It's coming to me. I see it. Oh, it appeared right here. It's a crown, boys. It's King Garcia is going to win this fight. King Garcia is going to be the king of Instagram and the king of the ring. King of the ring. Get that reference, Rich? King of the ring. From here on out, I am predicting he is going to knock out Tank Davis in round 9. Round 9. I'm going to take King Garcia to not have the chin of Amir Khan, but have the looks of Amir Khan. A knockout in round 9. Did I say round 9? Round 9. So put your money on it. 2-1. Cash them out. Call your bookie and make the payments on Monday because you're going to owe some money. That's our predictions here. Boys, it was fun to bring back everything. Bring back some of the old bits, the songs, the beers, the Tecate, the Raider Damas, the greatest segment that never was. But it was a pleasure being with you boys again. Let's finish this show off here on the good foot. Let's end it on out. All right, that's our super show. I forgot to put in the prediction segment that acquaintance of the show and former guest host, if we can call him that. Yeah, he was a guest host. Matt from Lindstrom, the Bach. He predicts that that Tank will win by TKO in round 9. So he was also wrong as well because Raider Damas is undefeated. So we know that. He just became a father, by the way, as well. Congratulations to him. Beautiful baby girl, probably future world champion with the fastest hands. Filthy Rich, why don't you bring us on home?
Yeah, like I got these little things to decorate the wall. It is LeBron James. You can sit right there, and you can sit right there. I also received these hot things in the mail. These Laker colored LeBrons, and the most important thing, it still has the tag, the number 6, baby, number 6, LeBron James. Let's go Lakers. Let's do this. And on a more somber note, on our last show, my friend Mr. Gus made a little appearance, and since then he is no longer with us. Little bud, I miss you. I'll drink to you.
I will drink to that too. I wanted to mute you after the all the LeBron stuff, but I will drink to Gus.
You can mute me now.
I won't do it. I won't do it. Judge, it was a pleasure being on the show with you as always. What do you got to say? You got anything to add before we head on out with the outro?
I think
he thinks he freezes. That's what he thinks.
just get this fight and watch. This is the main event is going to be the fight to watch. The main event is going to be what you watch. Watch this fight. This is going to be a good fight.
Works for me, James. I'll drink to you.
I will drink to that. I will drink to all of you guys. And just because I can do it before we go, mutes for everybody out the door. Mutes for everybody out the door. All right, for Filthy Rich, Judge Jimmy James, I am Raider Live. Thank you for joining us for our Super Show. And get the fight this weekend. Watch us with friends. Have a good time. And we will see you next time we see you. Billy Kuziev